What's up, guys? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. Guys, hopefully you guys are having an amazing start to the year. We're almost in June, which is actually halfway through the year. Hopefully everybody's hitting their goals, and it's been obviously quite a year for the markets, both to the upside, then the downside, and back to the upside. Want to go over today, you guys probably seen pot stocks have been really getting hot. As you know, I abhor pot stocks in general. They all are turds, but in general, like, my opinions mean nothing for trading, right? The heat in the market right now is in pot stocks. We had a reverse split and some news on ACB, and so it's been going bonkers, and now you're starting to see some other names starting to go. So I want to talk today about what are some pot stocks, weed stocks that we can watch that could be in play for tomorrow, and then of course the next week. So obviously the one that's got the big momentum so far is this ACB. ACB is a gigantic turd for the most part, but you can see here, like, this thing's been just in a massive downtrend, but it's got room to go now. It's had a reverse split, so it's got, a much lower float, so it has the ability to move. I think this one, I keep an eye on this one. Like this one, if you get a move, on Monday, if you start to push into this 18s here, like, you may really start to pick up some steam. It's a little bit high for my taste. I'd rather go in and find, like, what are the secondary plays. So on TC2000, you can always build out lists. So I've got a list of pot stocks already over here that I'm watching. So anytime you build a list in any scanning software, what you want to really do is keep some sorting functions going so that you could take, like, a bigger list and narrow it down. So, I usually keep like a 90-day, 30-day, 5-day, year-to-date, 6-month float. And I, add a couple columns of different stuff. So if we do just like a 5-day sort to see, like, what's been moving up the most the last 5 days, we can see where the heat is on the names, and then we can also come in and look for some secondary plays that maybe are trailing up. So let's do just a quick sort here by 5 days, and we can start to see, like, what are some names that are starting to pop. Like, you see this CVSI, it's come up a long way now, from 37 to 80. So that's really not going to be our cup of tea. Sundial Growers, I hate trading penny stocks. I won't trade this, but, like, if you're, into penny stocks and stuff like that, you've got yourself a really kind of nice pattern that's coming out here. If it remounts and holds that 50 SMA and you've got a trend line break here on, like, your 15-minute chart, that may actually have a chance to go. I like to focus on a little bit more liquid names. A stock that's doing 1 million shares, 60 cents is just not my cup of tea. TLRY. Now, this one is a little bit more my flavor. You can see here you've got a big range breakout that's developing over here. To have a breakout, you need multiple tests of resistance. So 3 tests or more is really the sweet spot. So you got 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, and you're starting to push. It started to push end of day today. You got right into 3 p.m. You got a really nice run, 27 million shares in volume. So that's no joke. When you think about stocks that are going to break out, volume is something people always talk about. They say more volume, more volume. Well, volume in itself is nothing, but if you have relative volume, like it's expanding, that's something to keep an eye on. Like Bank of America does a lot of volume, but that doesn't mean anything. GE does a lot of volume, but that doesn't mean anything. What you're looking for is, what is the volume in relation to normally what it is? So, like, I always keep like a 14-day moving average on my volume so I can see what the normal volume is. So, like, for TLRY, it's running at like 10 million shares. So today at near 30, that's pretty good. Like, that has a chance to go tomorrow. That's my favorite for tomorrow, I think. It looks pretty good. Let's go through the rest of the list here. This Acreage Holdings, this is another one that's got a really beautiful range breakout. Now, it doesn't have enough liquidity for me at 250,000 shares. Like, what are you really going to do with it? A lot of people will play it, and it's something to keep an eye on because, as you guys probably know, this business is run, like, especially on under $10 stocks, they're run by the creepiest pumpers, that are like traders around. They do small account challenges and all sorts of nonsense, and they live off pumping these kind of stocks. They have no volume, but you have a decent chart and they can make a move. So like if you're, in the small caps, it's still something to keep an eye on if that volume flows in, but not my particular cup of tea. I like coffee. CGC's got a range break setting up over here too. Now this one, it's been running for a few days, but I think you've got room into 20. TLRY has a little bit more room, but this one's still got a little bit of room to go too. So that's probably something worth keeping an eye on. This VFF used to be a really hot mover back in the day. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one get picked up. Like it's one of those ones that moves. It's like a trailer, when nobody's watching it and in the market starts to go, it tends to pick up after the fact. You got a nice range break here. You're starting to, come out of it, like probably something worth keeping an eye on. APHA's also got a rounding pattern. Now this one's like a little bit of a thicker stock. Let me see what the float on this is. They don't even have one listed on it, but it's a little bit of a thicker stock, but you're also coming out of range here in a bottoming pattern. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing at like 456. It's not the most explosive stock, though. This is not going to be like a TLRY that can move like, or an ACB where the float's lower and you got a lot of volume, but the float's low where it can like rip like, 20, 30%. APHA tends to be a little bit more of a grinder. Cron is probably something to keep an eye on. See the volume accumulation the last few days. So you got rising volume, and even on the down day, it was really a small volume on the pullback. This one was up 11% today. Like this one's got a chance to get going. That's got a nice range break there. Like I would keep that on watch for tomorrow too. These are all kind of like penny stocks, but even IGC, like at some point you could see this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see that thing picked up. Kern was like, a blast from the past. It was like a one-day, one-hit wonder, like a nice, nice 90s rock song, and then you just never heard from it again. So probably not anything worth, keeping a little bit of a goose and a gander. And really the granddaddy of them all is STZ. They own a piece of CGC. This one has got a range break too, but probably a little bit slower. So in summary, like what I think is, when this market starts to go, they'll start to pick them off one at a time. They start with, the more well-known ones, and then they start to flood into the other ones. So like I would keep this whole list on watch, because at some point they all start to go one after another. And frankly, there's way more than even this. This is my own personal list that I had from the last time pot stocks went. You can always use Google and just, start adding a few more that have the liquidity you need. But I think that, the play is going to be this TLRY tomorrow. If this thing opens weak and goes like red to green, that could be an awesome play. You've got really, that's like picture perfect, and you've got no level of resistance overhead. Cron's got a nice chart, not as beautiful as TLRY though. And then, I think CGC is going to have a little bit more juice too. And frankly, if you like some of these little guys, then, keep the Sundial and VFF and some of these other ones on your watch list. This seems to happen like once a year. Pot stocks are kind of like shipping stocks. They're like a cult favorite, and a cult favorite, even if they're turds, once a year, they have their moment for like 2 weeks. They just go bonkers. Nobody knows why. They'll have all this conjecture, like, oh, people are in quarantine, so they're sitting at home, or this or that. Or, a couple years ago, it's like, hey, everybody's getting these licenses or whatever. There's always something, and then they just pile in. But in reality, it's just a momentum thing. Every sector has its day or week in a particular year, whether it's gold or oil. And right now, the pot stocks are starting to heat up. You're starting to see that volume accumulation. You can even see on like this Sundial at 11 million shares a couple days ago. Now it's consolidating. You're going to start to see a little bit of pickup in some of these names, and I think we've got to take part. And you know what? We might as well, because the rest of the market's so extended. There's only a handful of stocks that are like sitting near lows that are on bottoms. They got a lot of room to go. Everything else is so extended right now. This has been a crazy runaway market. Hopefully we'll have a week or so of fun on these things while everything else settles, and we can make some cash. As always, I appreciate you guys coming into our YouTube lives on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And, you guys are more than welcome to come and, join us in our Discord room. We've got an awesome community of, traders and stuff like that. And I do a free chat day all the time, every month or so. And, the rest of the time, I'm in our regular channels, just hoofing and puffing with everybody. Guys, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you need this list, I'll just send it to you. Feel free to email me, KUNALBULLSON.WS, or just message me in the comments and I'll get to you guys. Take care.